Gary, do you want to lead us in the present in this pledge of allegiance?
Roll call.
Me? Yeah. You gotta stand up to do it, though.
Just made it.
I don't really, let somebody else do it, I'm not.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call.
I got it. Captain Rod Millard,
Present.
Chief Shane Mull,
Here.
Captain Jay Christian,
Here.
Chair Nick Bercuda, Vice Chair Michael Greenwald,
Here.
Mark Roden, Scotland Rover,
Here.
and Gary Walsh.
Here.
First of all, we'd like to welcome Gary. Congratulations or condolences, whichever it is. All right, moving on to special orders of business and presentations. Adam, I think you have a presentation for us on elections.
I do. Thank you, Vice Chair Greenwald. This presentation is just an update for the Public Safety Committee. We've been doing these updates with our committees and commissions to continue to spread the word and provide information to the public as well as the committee on the city's current work to look into transitioning from at-large to district elections. A little bit of background here. The citizens placed a petition on the ballot in 2018 asking if residents wanted elections to be decided by districts. At that time, about 70% of the voters indicated a preference for at-large elections. That initiative failed, and no change to the election process occurred at that time. However, in July of 2023, the city was served with a demand letter to transition to district elections, and that was that letter was received along with 4 other local South Orange County cities. The legal climate as it relates to these demand letters, hundreds of cities, school districts, and special districts have been served with demand letters and have proceeded to transition because of the legal fight is very expensive and the potential to win is very unclear. 3 cities have pursued court action to date, but no city has prevailed. Currently, I believe that only the city of Santa Monica's pending action continues. And I don't know if it's on this slide, but the city of Santa Monica's costs have been in the tens of millions fighting this. So state law provides a safe harbor from litigation costs, but timelines are challenging. The safe harbor has been entered into by the city in holding the required public hearings to discuss this issue and move forward with the work to transition to district elections. On August 15th, 2023, and that's what will be referred to as the first public hearing, the City Council adopted a resolution of intent to transition to district elections. During this process, outreach is very important, both for community groups, but also putting out information on the city website and doing everything we can, including meetings like this with presentations for members of the public to become involved. And ultimately, this process should involve an open and honest dialogue with discussions about these potential district elections. On September 5th, public hearing number 2 was held. The council conducted this public hearing and received public input concerning the composition of potential council election districts. The council directed at that time the consultant to move forward with a draft district map containing 4 districts and an elected mayor. If the council adopts an ordinance to have an elected mayor, council will determine whether the mayoral term is 2 or 4 years. As far as community outreach is concerned, the city has a page that is san-clemente.org/district elections, and there's a lot of information available there. The city has also done social media posts. Information on the website is available in Spanish and English. Ads have been placed in the San Clemente Times, also in Spanish and English, and the city has a dedicated email address for district elections, and it's districtelections@san-clemente.org. As far as next steps go, the informational flyers and blank maps were placed at all city facilities on September 6th of 2023, between September 6th and the 14th. Public maps that would be considered at the October 3rd public hearing were accepted by the city clerk by email, in-person drop-off, or regular mail. And on September 21st, those maps were placed on the city's website for public inspection. As far as creating district boundaries go, and this is something that each resident can get involved in, there are a few parameters. One is that each council district should contain a nearly equal population. Council districts need to be geographically contiguous to the extent practical. The geography of the local neighborhood or community of interest should be respected and included within a single district. Council district boundaries should be easily identifiable and understandable by residents. So the upcoming timeline includes a public hearing number 3, which will be held on October 3rd of this year to discuss the content of the draft maps and sequence of elections. October 10th is the deadline for any new or amended maps and sequence of elections to be posted online. October 17th is the tentative date for public hearing number 4 to select the maps. At that same meeting, there will be another public hearing number 5 to potentially introduce an ordinance to transition to district elections. And if that occurs, then on November 7th of this year, the council would adopt that ordinance to transition to district elections. And all of this will be implemented in the following 2 election cycles, starting on the November 5th, 2024 election. That would be the first one using district-based seats. And that would occur for the seats that are up in 2024. On November 6th of 2026, that would be the second election using district-based seats, where the remaining council seats would be converted to districts. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience? Adam, thank you very much. Great presentation. You were well done.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment?
Can I make a real quick one?
No. You're never quick, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to welcome Gary Walsh back to the Public Safety Committee. I think you all know by now, but Gary was one of the original members of the original Public Safety Committee, 3, 4, a long time ago. I had the pleasure of working with him on that committee. I think you're really going to enjoy working with him. He has a unique perspective in it. He was a Costa Mesa police officer for a period of time, and then left and he got smart, left and became an LA County firefighter, where he retired as captain. Has a great background in all facets of management of the fire department. Was a great asset as far as his knowledge of researching and legislation was outstanding, and that's been a gap ever since he left. So I think we're really fortunate to have him on there. You're going to really enjoy working with him, and I think this council, and Nick isn't here to hear this, but I think he thinks it anyway, is I think this is probably the best public safety committee makeup that we've had since we started it. I think it's a great group and looking for great work from you guys. And I'm hoping, we've just hired a couple of full-time park rangers, and one of them actually came from the lifeguard department, who's just a Trevor that you're really going to enjoy, and he's got the right attitude. You walked in, I'm sorry, you snuck right in. I know, Trevor, that you are enforcement oriented, which is what we need. You're not afraid to go out there and enforce our municipal codes. That's what we need, and this is why he got the job. And I'm also hoping that maybe by next meeting that there's a component on your work plan that the council requested about how to model the park ranger program, specifically, how it's organized, maybe the look of what they are, maybe how they strategize their deployment, that we want you guys to take a look at. Want to hopefully get that done sooner than later, so we're not starting one way and changing to another kind of system. So hopefully you'll get that on your work plan and be able to work on that. So very excited about our park ranger program. It's been a great opportunity for us to gap police and city as far as enforcement, and so it's great. It's going to be great to see Trevor what he does. And again, thank you very much for you guys' participation. I think we've got nothing but good things coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
I can't get up as quick as you can. Hello, I'm Dennis Camp, and I want to talk about the Park Ranger program. I speak a lot with Commissioner Cosgrove. He can't be here today, so I said, hey, you know what, I can show up and talk to you. And I'd like for you to reference his email to you where he gave you a PowerPoint, and you all got it in your email, that talked about the Park Ranger program. It looks like that there's a lot of support for this program. I think what it does really is it lets our police department do what I would call police matters, and it would allow for park rangers to get more into the code enforcement. Allowing that program would actually free up our police department to do the things that I actually want them to do. But I think more importantly, what it does is it brings the community a little closer together by bringing community people, working with other community members to get things done. I actually think to actually create a type of movement, we need more than an us and them, and that might be what we think about our police department, that they handle everything, and reality is we each have our little niche that we need to participate in. And this is one giant step, I believe, to bring how we manage our community and make that grow better into our residents. So for that, I hope that you consider expanding our park rangers into more code enforcement. Thank you very much.
Daniel, did you get a copy of that?
I did not.
I can send it to you.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I
That's probably the most important place to send it.
I will let. Thank you very much. I'll do that as I sit down. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, actually, I skipped over the minutes of August 22nd. Has everybody read them? Do I have a motion to accept? Are there any
I'll move to accept them.
as written?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
So
I'm abstaining. Can't comment on it.
all right. To reviews and recommendations, code enforcement performance.
So this is for Q3, and this is analyzing January, February, and March. There's only one area that has been removed, and that's number of outreach hours provided, because that's currently being done by our community outreach division. We, based off the suggestions that the committee had, we separated code from the park rangers so that the data would be easier to read and understand.
Daniel, it was, for the 3 months, was it the same number of officers?
No, we had an additional officer start in May?
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, I'm sorry. So this third quarter data, there were no new
Okay.
officers hired during that time.
And do we know why there was such an uptick in new cases in March?
Well, most likely just due to the high volume of, well, the rain. So the majority of these new cases are weed cases. So if you look at it kind of seasonally, spring is when we start getting a heavy influx of the overgrown vegetation complaints.
Mark?
Is there with the increase from March, did it create, I know we're talking about quarter 3, did it create a backlog into quarter 4?
Yes.
Is this something that, how long do you think until we catch up to where it's kind of business as usual?
I think we're making good progress, but they kind of pop up all the time. But yeah, from spring to present, now we have other issues that are actually taking up more time as far as cases go. But yeah, I think we have a pretty good handle on the overgrown vegetation and weed cases.
Yeah, not your fault. But anytime something doubles, it's hard to deal with.
Right. Scott?
Danielle, are you full on your full-time employees, or do you have?
Almost. We have one more position that I think might be posted today, and that's for our code compliance technician. And they're assigned a lot of these types of weed cases. They're more the proactive position for gas leaf blowers, illegal signs, weeds, after hours noise complaints, those types of issues. They also will go out and assist on some of these party calls and that kind of stuff.
Has there been any thoughts looking forward at expanding that number of full-time positions that you have available to hire into?
You know, there's a couple different factors, and right now, just as Rick talked about the park ranger program, we're really putting a lot of our energies and attention on getting those 2 full-timers hired. But we have interviews next week, and kind of giving Trevor and the department the resources they need just to get off the ground, and then having, of course, the public safety committee come in and look at the program and provide whatever enhancements they think would benefit the program here. So it would be nice to have more officers, and I guess we should look at that in the future.
Sure. I mean, I certainly understand it's not free, but to Councilman Leffler's point, there's the code compliance officers, the park rangers are such a good bridge from the sheriff's department and into the civilian side to take away those, I don't want to say lower level, but those enforcement issues that we can free up from our sheriff's deputies and let them do more good police work, but yet not let the compliance issues just fall off a cliff, right?
Right.
Because they're equally as important. I was speaking to one of the citizens here before the meeting started, and there was a concern about RV parking down in Los Molinos district, and it sounds like that is leading to definite violations that just need to be addressed, and there is meat to address those violations, and there's action to be taken, but we just need the staff to do it, and it sounds like your staff is kind of working at capacity right now, so it would be nice to increase that capacity by increasing those positions that we could hire into.
Definitely.
Do you have something else, Mark?
I was just going to ask, the position that's open, that's a full-time position?
Yes.
Gary? All right, thank you. Would there be grant money available from the state and the federal government to fund some more rangers?
You know, that would be something I would definitely want to discuss with my supervisor. I don't know if we have somebody designated here at the city that looks into grants and state type funding. That is kind of a niche, a specialized skill, but we can definitely discuss it and see if there is like CPG money for that kind of stuff.
Because not only the state and federal government, there's foundations that, you know, might fund something, if they're into public safety.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
Thank you. All right. Now we'll move on to, we're done with that? Any others?
I don't know, anything else?
Yeah. Okay, into the park ranger performance. Mark, anything? I'm sorry, Scott?
Nope. Again, looks like they are working hard and doing good work. We just probably need more of them.
Right. I think that's a given. Anything, Mark? No. Gary? Anything? All right. Thank you, staff. That was great.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
would this be a good opportunity to maybe introduce Trevor and, you know, since we're talking about park rangers and
Okay.
maybe give us a little bit of his background, give you a chance to ask some questions?
Trevor,
Sure, why not?
come on up.
Hello everyone, I'm Trevor Malash. I'm the new Park Ranger Supervisor here for the city. Thank you guys for the opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in this committee and with the different agencies involved in meeting the needs of the city, and especially with our parks, beaches, and trails. Sorry, I forgot your name.
Rick.
What Rick said, I came from Marine Safety. I got hired in 2007 as an ocean lifeguard and worked there for a good number of years. I mean, the last 17 years. I was an ocean lifeguard supervisor for the last 7 years. This is day 6 for me here, so I appreciate everyone's patience as I get my bearings and understand this role and the needs that we have for the Park Ranger program. Really, like you said, I'm not afraid of doing enforcement stuff. I see that as a big part of what we do as far as enforcement in the parks and taking care of, you know, low-level stuff, so that, you know, which would free up sheriff department to take care of, you know, higher-level crimes going on in the city. Yeah, I'm looking really forward to working with everyone. If you guys have any questions for me that I can answer for you guys.
Gary? Anything? Scott?
Nope.
Mark?
No, welcome.
Awesome, thank you.
Trevor,
I probably don't have much answers right
If you
now.
would, if you would, give this gentleman your email address and he can send you the presentation.
Of course, yeah, I will.
Okay?
Awesome, thank you guys.
Welcome aboard, Trevor.
Thank
We're
you.
really glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, consideration and development of the Public Safety Committee annual work plan. Review and discussion by the committee related to the city's council's direction to develop committee work plan to be submitted to the council no later than August 1st, 2023. We had Nick sent something that he gave all of you guys. I'm sorry, all of you folks on some suggestions he had made. And Adam, do you want to address this at all?
Thank you, Vice Chair, for the opportunity to speak on this. So this is part of the Public Safety Committee's annual responsibilities is to develop a work plan that spells out the projects to be tackled over the next year. The work plan, we want to get it to the city clerk by October 1st. However, in light of Mr. Walsh's recent appointment, it would be understandable if the committee would like to take additional time on this. One thing to keep in mind: the work plan has been relatively consistent over the past few years. I know that some projects have been. I'll say more of them have been accomplished, and so I could see some potential that some work plan projects might be removed, others might be added. But as far as what the committee is tasked with at this point, it's really going through the existing work plan, identifying what needs to stay, what might need to be modified for future years if you want to keep those projects going, but to tailor the committee's work plan so that it does a few things. One is it identifies the priorities of the city. This will be reviewed and approved by the council. But two, that it's also reflective of a reasonable amount of work that the subcommittee, that the committee can accomplish over the next year. There are some projects that have been multi-year projects, things like legislative analysis or review. That kind of project would be an ongoing thing. The statistical analysis and review, that's actually identified in the municipal code as the one thing that the Public Safety Committee is required to do by code. The rest of the work plan is up to the City Council for their determination. So we would anticipate those kinds of ongoing projects being continued. However, staff's here to help and facilitate any additions or revisions that the committee seeks over the next year. So with that, I'll be available for any questions.
Do you have any questions?
I do not.
I don't have any questions. I agree with the draft work plan that's in front of us. If we were to want to narrow this down and really focus on the big ticket items, I think that would be absolutely homelessness. To Adam's point, the statistical review is required by code, and then e-bike and traffic safety. Not that the other points aren't important, they absolutely are, but I think that homelessness is such a big issue to tackle, and it's going to take so many different resources. I think we absolutely have to keep that up on our radar. And then the other two are just very pertinent to our town.
Right.
So, I'd like to see us really focus on those three and then work on the others as time allows.
Very critical. And I want to keep neighborhood watch up there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Gary?
Yeah, this is the first I've had a chance to look at it while it's sitting in front of me here. And one thing that does interest me, and in light of what happened in Maui, we also saw Laguna Niguel last year, when you have a sudden fire sweep in, and then there's everybody looks armchair quarterbacks it, right?
Right.
We have potentials for that here in San Clemente, and I'd like to be able to review that and go through those programs and determine what is our best methods for notifying our citizens and stuff. So that's why I say nothing like that's in here. So that's why I want to kind of maybe introduce something like that.
I think that's a great idea. We do have a siren program here, correct?
The siren program was decommissioned years ago from San Onofre. But there is that like reverse 911 that comes from the sheriff's department, and I want to say also the Office of Emergency Services, Orange County, offers a lot of those things you have to sign up for that will provide notifications, but there is no active siren system in the city.
One thing to note as well, and is it on this agenda? The City Council directed, and I'll mention two things here. The City Council directed the Public Safety Committee to look at a few things. Those are on this agenda and an upcoming agenda. The first is to review what we'll call the siren or our early warning system in the city. That's on this meeting's agenda. And so that doesn't need to be in a work plan project because it's been specifically directed by the City Council. Then I wanted to touch on the Park Ranger program and the review. That will be coming on an upcoming agenda for the committee. There's some timing issues with that. Staff needs to do a little bit more work on that. We'll get that on the next agenda possible, but with the hiring that we're currently doing, getting Trevor up to speed, we want to get those issues a little flushed out, get people up and running, then do our analysis to present to the committee for input and evaluation of the program as a whole.
And are any of the former sirens still operable?
I think they've all been removed.
Yes, according to engineering or public works, they're decommissioned.
We can.
Well, decommissioned or turned off or actually removed?
I think removed, according, I think I spoke with Kyle.
Could we take a look at that and find out?
Yes.
Appreciate that.
And while we're on that note, cost to replace them all, if they have been removed, cost to replace and activate.
Yeah, so I would assume that today's discussion on that, and I will be leaving the meeting before you get to that, but
It's
all of those
so-
questions, I think that this first meeting is just to establish kind of a baseline for what information the committee would like as far as the future discussion about the review of this early warning system.
Well, excuse me, but I'm not one that likes to parse stuff out over months and months. Would it be okay if we asked to find out if any of the sirens are still available, how many sirens we would need in the city, okay, and what the technology would be to activate it, and maybe find out by the next meeting?
We could look for answers for all of your questions. Whether that information is easily available by the next meeting is going to be up to
Whatever you can do.
but absolutely.
Rather than just, putting it off to next month and talking about it.
Well, we don't want to push it off to next month, but that in light of
just to push off to talking about it to next month, actually have some facts and figures, whatever you can get.
I think it would be worth getting the entire committee's input on what kind of information they would like to help in that evaluation. So maybe just a 5-minute discussion today, and it's on the agenda for later.
And we'll just move to number 4 then, or D. Gary, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, question to both the fire authority and the sheriff's department. Do you know if there were after-action reports generated after the Laguna Niguel incident?
I'm sure there are. You probably have a better answer than I do. Yeah, just internal ones, with the fire authority, we're actually still working on that after action for our people, but as far as how the fire authority piece went, yeah, there's after actions as far as what we can do better in the future and things like that. If that's what you're speaking to.
I'm just speaking of what worked, what didn't. Usually there's a little bit of analysis on how people were notified, how that worked.
As far as the notification piece, I don't know about an after action for that part. We just, on the fire side, do our tactics and strategies and what went well, what didn't, but.
Yeah, I could look into finding out if we had some sort of debrief. We'll look into Gale as well regarding that.
Yeah. Would OAS, in the OAS capacity, would there have been one formulated that encompassed everything? Both share, fire, and everything like that?
It's a great question, Mark. I can find out for you. There probably is. I'm not privy to it.
Because that would probably be the master one like you want, right? The whole incident, right? Pluses or minuses.
I'll check with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Regarding the siren program, I think that's a way of public notification. To me, it seems kind of 1970s technology, right?
Yeah.
I would be really interested to see what those best management practices are of other cities, what other cities are doing for public notification. This definitely seems like something that would land in the Office of Emergency Management within the city. Again, the siren is a way to notify people, but what it notifies people of is that a siren's going off. And there's not really any detail there or a call to action or
they can check their phone and see that they did get a text
right
or something. Just
right. And it's a drain on the budget because those are physical pieces of infrastructure that need to be maintained and tested, and so I'm just wondering if that's the best way that we spend money on public notification.
Good point.
Maybe the emergency management department can work on what those best management practices are and model after that.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree that it's not the best way to do it, but I also would agree that it is probably a good finger to the overall punch that we're going to put out there, because I mean, I know a lot of people turn off the emergency notifications on their phone, right? The Amber Alerts, they don't want to be bothered with anything, right? So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least try to get every, for lack of a better term, annoying alarm, sound, buzz, everything, because I mean, if it is something that bad, like a fire or tsunami or what have you, we want everybody to know. But to your point, I do agree with you. It's antiquated, but sometimes I can't tell you there haven't been times I wish I had a landline this big. I mean, sometimes antiquated stuff works in addition to the tech and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm antiquated.
No.
From our side and from the county OC, we try and push everybody towards signing up for Alert OC. Everybody can sign up for Alert OC and they'll get real-time information right to their phones, iPads, whatever they have. They just have to go in and sign up for it, and then it takes where you live, everything. So if it's just something San Clemente specific, they'll have that real-time information, and that's the big one for the notifications when there's evacuations and things going off. At least they'll get something, but it seems to work really well.
You'd think somebody on the public safety committee would have that.
On the Alert OC, it's easy. You
I
just
don't have it
have
at the end of the day, so.
It's easy.
And do you guys, do they have control over the freeway signs? I know it's a Caltrans CHP thing, but when an important alert like that needs to be put out, is there a direct connection to Caltrans to get the freeway signs changed?
Honestly, I would imagine yes, but I couldn't speak exactly. I know when there's a big disaster and the county EOC is activated, they're able to control a lot of different things and make sure messaging gets out. People from Caltrans are in communications with them, so if they want to blast something up there, they can do it really easily. So
Cool, thank you.
All right, we'll move back up to B. I kind of skipped over those. Recommendation to the City Council to direct Captain Merlot to include the junior lifeguard program in the performance measures and priority registration to incumbents.
Well, that's kind of on here.
Yeah.
It's kind of two separate things, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Captain Malott said changes that we want to the process, which would be the priority registration.
Right.
That's at direction of city council. And we were the ones that telling him that we thought
Right.
that his stats should go to city council also. It's kind
And,
of two different
and the
things.
pre-registration for incumbents. So just, everybody good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with it. Camelot, that's such an amazing program. And both of my kids are alumni of the junior lifeguard program, and one went on to work for you now for several years, and it's such an amazing program. I'd love to see that program expand if there's capacity to do it. Do more outreach, I think there is value in giving priority registration to incumbents, but I think there's also value in reaching into the community and getting people who maybe don't think of themselves as participating in the junior lifeguard program to see themselves doing that. Whether that's simple outreach of social media or other ways to penetrate into the community to show that there's a place for everyone in that program, because it's such a valuable, such an important program for a city that one of our most important features is the coastline. I give it a big thumbs up.
And I don't know if this is the case. Do you guys give assemblies at the elementary schools?
Yes, every spring. So we go to all the elementary schools. We just yesterday, a couple of the lifeguards went to the St. Clair High School and gave presentations to all the PE classes. Spent the whole day up there. They give presentations in the springtime and promote the junior lifeguard program to all the elementary schools. There's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that they reach out to. And there's also the Beach Ocean Safety Tour video that you can see on YouTube. It's really well done. That has been sent out to all the schools outside of San Clemente as well.
Awesome.
You want to add anything else to that?
I mean, this is the program's incredible. It's been going on for a long time, and just as Mr. Rivers spoke about, his son and daughter went through the program. Just like there's plenty of generations that have gone through the program, and it's the shining light on our department and the most popular program in the city. I mean, it's like a rock concert ever since COVID. There's spots for 840 kids, and they're sold out with less than a minute, and 640 on the wait list in 10 minutes. So the popularity, we expanded the program probably 8 years ago or so. We added 2 sessions. Went Monday through Friday. I used to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's Monday through Friday. It's 9 to 12 or 1 to 4. And for years, we could not get to the numbers of 840. Just it wouldn't go. But after COVID, I think everyone cooped up and wanted to get the kids out of the house and get back out and enjoy the beach and whatnot. It's been a rock concert ever since. I see kind of both sides of that. It's just kind of like Mr. Rover spoke about. It's you want to reach as many kids as you can, and that's why we go out and we get presentations. We have community groups come down. We go out to community groups and schools, and we can go down to Camp Pendleton and give presentations and whatnot. So to me, I see both sides. I always like it when we can reach more. It kind of fizzles out after you become a 2. Once you become that 12, 13-year-old, it's like not as cool to be there. They want to be with their friends and hang out. So, it's really popular for 9, 10, 11, 12. But then once again, they get into that older division. If they don't pursue wanting to be in the lieutenant captain or cadet program, then, they kind of just fall out. They just want to go hang out and do their sports or be with their friends. So I personally like to spread the message to as many as possible. And so that gives that opportunity for even folks that, who normally wouldn't, like you were saying, because if you do priority registration, we have spots for 840 and say 450 or 500 sign up for that. You only have space for 350. So it goes both ways. And so it's up to council on how they decide they want to do registration. I see both sides of it. I can understand. I've been at the face of that, for the complaints about, even though how popular it is, that's great. But on the other token, there's a lot of upset parents that their child had have done a swim test and practice before just swim lessons, and all the nerves and anxious to do the timing for the swim test and make it, and they have this false impression that they're going to get in the program. It just allows you to be eligible to get in, and so that becomes a barrier too, the disappointment for kids. So, and in regards to expanding, it's almost nearly impossible to, because there's just not enough space on the beach. We have JPs, we have Rainbow, we have the recreation class, we have bodyboarding, we have Epic Surf Camp. There's just no space. And then you also, for being an instructor, we want them to be there at minimum. It used to be 3 years. Now we have to get down to 2 years as a lifeguard to get that experience, so they can manage a class and be able to teach appropriately. So it's, there's a shortage of lifeguards, so it's really hard to try to expand, and there's no space on the beach or in the water for that expansion. But there are other opportunities to run possibly a spring session, spring break, or some sort of program down the road. But just got to make sure you have enough lifeguards on staff to get
pretty
much first.
painful. It'd probably be easier to get the school district to increase summer vacation by 3 weeks, probably.
Yeah,
The kids would love that.
That'd be an easy sell.
So, Captain,
Thank
in our recommendation to City Council, do you think we should maintain priority to incumbents? And what does the committee think?
As I answered, I'm neutral about that. I see both sides. Like I said, I'd like to see as many kids get the opportunity to learn how to be safe at the beach, and doing it this way does allow that. I do understand the frustration, like, if Johnny did, rippers, and he was ready to do JG1, where JG1s you're allowed to jump off the pier, and it's like a highlight for most of the kids. They get a chance to jump off the pier, and he didn't get in, he doesn't get to jump, all of his friends got in and whatnot. But not just jumping off the pier, it's just the experience that they get, and the knowledge that they get, and the confidence that they go through the program. So I see both sides. So those are tough decisions, and I'm neutral on that. I'll leave those for council to make a decision on how they want to proceed.
Mark, what do you think?
I'm for it, not necessarily just because it gives them the priority, just like, okay, I'm giving you the priority. I'm a firm believer in public safety, of growing your own, right? And seeing how the marine safety entity of our city is really the only entity of Phase 4 public safety that we own the whole thing, right? All the personnel, all the equipment is ours, right? So it's really the only thing we don't like. I know the sheriff's office has programs for youths, and I'm sure the fire department does too, but this is the only thing that we have where you can grow from, a 9-year-old all the way up, right? So what I would hate to see, and I actually saw with one family, was trying to get into it, they had done it before, couldn't do it. I think one of them, they were able to get in from the wait list or what have you, and then, so they went off and did another one. And then now their plan is, well, I don't know if I'm going to come back to the San Clemente one. And I kind of know, these aren't like close family friends of ours, but I also say, so that kind of stuck in my head, like, if we want to grow our own, giving a priority to incumbents might be good. And like the captain said, there's going to be the natural fall off of the 13. I mean, we all see the 13-year-olds out there, right? There's a paradigm shift. I want to be cool. I don't necessarily want to go do this. So I think there is a natural ebb and flow of people falling off and aging out, right? Because what's the maximum age? 17? Yeah. So there's going to be people that age out and decide not to do it. I don't think any of that's going to change. And I honestly don't think the incumbent pre-registration is going to have a vast difference in new versus old. It's just going to give a little more of a wholehearted chance for the incumbency. Because I mean, I would hate for any kid that's been doing it for, say, 3 years, and they have their heart set on doing this indefinitely and going into being a lifeguard, and then now they got to go somewhere else. Yeah, that's heart-wrenching for a lot of people.
There's different options you can do too. As far as like those who move into the higher level positions, say a lieutenant, a captain, or cadet that want to move into an ocean lifeguard in a higher level, where they have an opportunity to do priority if it's not the mass junior lifeguards, the rippers, the 1s and 2s. It's the ones that are, in that leadership role, where it was, like I said, lieutenants, captains, and cadets.
But would they have already have to have had qualified for that? Because the qualification
The
occurs
summer
after
prior,
season.
the summer prior,
Okay.
yeah. Or, it could always be changed where but they would have to already be that and go to the next
Yeah.
level, yeah. But I'm just saying there's probably some different options too.
Is there a big drop off from people that become lieutenant or captain and then now they're done? Like, hey, I got to that, and then I want to.
Yeah, actually, we've had more lieutenants and captains and cadets than we've ever had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The popularity of that leadership roles has increased over the years for sure.
Does it get to the point where you guys have to minimize those numbers allowed for those positions?
No.
Oh.
Gary?
Yeah, it's tricky. Really. But I would hate to see someone young who wanted to get into the program say, well, I can't get in because other people who had priority that were already in. Maybe they are more qualified. So maybe getting more people that, more experience into it, not everybody's going to get in. It's that plain and simple. And so it seems to me that basing it just on priority registration seems somewhat unfair to those who are maybe new to the community and now trying to get in. It might be a valuable asset. So, it is a valuable program. You're going to teach them some valuable skills. So, it's a tricky. I don't think you're going to satisfy everybody. Somebody's not going to like it if we say, go with incumbents, right? Somebody's not going to like it if we say incumbents don't get priority. So you're going to have them,
Scott?
I'm very supportive of council or committee members Roden's opinion there of growing your own and of farming that talent pool from within. I'm also a big fan of letting the people facing the problem, solve the problem. So I think as a committee, I would support us messaging to council that we are supportive of a priority registration system, but we let Captain Malott and his staff build that mousetrap and figure out who gets the priority registration and what percentage of that applicant pool gets that priority registration and how that works best to farm that talent pool from within, but yet keep the door open for new people, new families, kids who haven't done it before to still have that opportunity to get in. I don't think us sitting here at this desk are going to solve this problem because we don't really understand the problem nearly as well as they do.
My only question is whether we leave that last bit in with priority registration to incumbents, but it seems like three of us agree with that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. Adam, anything on the leasing the property from the city of San Diego?
So that's a great idea, and city staff is currently looking at that issue right now. I don't think that's, the committee is free to make whatever recommendation they want, but those discussions are occurring now, and just working with all of the stakeholders involved, because there are multiple property owners / lessees of property / enforcement personnel that have some jurisdiction in it. So we're going through that process to clarify all of that and identify what the options are for potential council consideration in the future. So that's already being done.
Great deal. Thank you.
To that point, in constructing a memo to the council, if we decide to recommend it, I was curious to know what the closest station or not necessarily closest station, because as a bird flies, it's not the closest station. So I contacted San Diego County Dispatch, and when they get a call at that intersection, they're coming from Encinitas. So they are out of the north, it's called the North Coastal Station,
Right.
33 miles away from that intersection. And then I didn't want to take up too much of her time, so I had her run stats for 60 days. There were 26 calls for service that deputies responded to, 18 illegal camping, 5 homeless outreach requests, 2 fights, and then this one was the most troublesome one. There was 1 incident of indecent exposure. Also in that 60-day period, there were a total of 0 walking stops, 0 security checks, and 0 non-dispatched incidents generated by the San Diego Sheriff's Department. So there was absolutely no proactive enforcement in that area.
Great work.
So, which is kind of eye-opening. And then also eye-opening is it's definitely not the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Like, I'm sure we knew about none of those incidents. I'm sure we would have loved to have known that there was a indecent exposure incident going on right there, right? Because if 1 got reported, statistically more were happening, right?
Really?
So yeah. And then to echo his point, yeah, there are, you have the Marines, you have the state parks, you have the Highway Patrol. So I didn't get it to have it printed and handed to you guys in time, and I'm having printing issues at home, but I have this memo that I crafted that I'm more would like to share with you guys and the sheriff's office on what the problem is, what the data I have is, and what I see as the appropriate areas. And I made it very clear that in our annexation via lease of that property, it would behoove us if we did not try to take possession of the highways, so the roadways of that part of Cristianitos and that part of El Camino Real, because that's gonna make us on the hook for collision reports and investigations and crime reports and investigations. And quite honestly, I think our willingness to take over the part that's got the encampments, I think that's a big weight lifted off of the County of San Diego's shoulders. So they can, and actually they don't take that's the thing too. So since that is an unincorporated area of the county, they don't even take the crashes. The Highway Patrol does. And I think, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, does CHP take the 1051s there also? Or does the sheriffs come up and take them? I know we don't take them.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure.
So I'd say we stay out of the street parking lot business and stick it to the natural land stuff that's kind of getting messed with.
And just to expand on that a little bit, obviously we get a lot of calls for that area as well because people don't always know it is San Diego County. But regardless, when we get a call, we'll respond out there.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and we try to do the best we can with what are reported when it comes to crimes. Mark, as you know, a lot of times without informants standing by, there's not a lot we can do to enforce. When it comes to the homeless enforcement, obviously that's a jurisdictional issue. We've been out there as well with our homeless team. We have had contact with San Diego County. We've been out there with them in their outreach, their EMS and social services, to try to kind of combine with San Diego County and getting those folks some outreach and some services that they need. But obviously jurisdictionally it is a challenge. I know San Clemente doesn't make it a habit of going into San Diego and offering their services. It comes down to financial reasons and obviously jurisdictional reasons. So it's a challenge, but we're working on it with San Diego County. I know we have another meeting, on-site meeting early October. I'm not sure the date, maybe the 5th. We're going to convene again with all of them out there and see what we can do. But yeah, it definitely is a challenge.
Well, and also there's a Fourth Amendment issue, right? Because if you arrest somebody in San Diego County, technically they're supposed to go to San Diego County Jail.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if we annex that property, we arrest somebody there with, I'm exaggerating, a kilo of heroin, they're going to go to our jail. They're not going to go to San Diego and deal with that logistical nightmare with the courts. Food for thought.
Great comment.
Yeah.
Great research.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Our unfinished business, the work plan. Adam, we're moving forward with that?
This,
Well, the work plan is on technically multiple portions of the agenda. The item where next year's work plan was discussed was a few items ago, and so I'm unsure if the committee would like to discuss that in depth today and see how much progress they can make on doing that. Otherwise, the portion of the agenda that you're at now is what we call the current work plan
Right.
and updates on that. It's up to the committee's discretion how they want to handle that.
You guys want to get into this or not?
Just seems like it's a lot of, we're gonna look at this and then we'll come back, and I don't think it's anybody's fault, I think it's just the nature of the beast, it kind of
Yeah, because it's huge.
discombobulated.
Yeah.
Technical term, right?
It's very technical, so,
I will say it's really hard to read with the,
you know.
with the details in the middle.
Okay. Would it be possible to get a copy of the work plan without the city seal in the middle of it?
we sent it to you guys a couple meetings back.
We'll do it without the seal too.
Okay. Natanya will send you guys another
I
copy.
think the last one I got had the seal in it, and it was a nightmare trying to print it.
Well, it's actually even harder to read on a computer with the seal in it.
So if you folks could do that, we'd appreciate it.
Mike, what are we looking to do with the work plan right now?
Let's just read through it and see if it's all current and what we want to amend, what we want to add. Let's just get it, so we're all on board with it. And if we could bring that back on next month's agenda, I'd appreciate it. So communications and disaster preparedness projects. I would like to suggest that when I lived in Granada Hills, we had an annual disaster preparedness fair. And it was extremely well attended. Up there was the Department of Water and Power, and they had a huge board set up that they could show people what happens when an electrical line falls into water. They gave all sorts of tips on what to do with your electricity. The gas company was there. We had a company called SOS, who is a large provider of preparedness materials. And I just don't know how prepared everybody is. I would hate to walk through my condo complex and ask people to see their disaster bucket or whatever they have ready for an earthquake or a fire, how much water they have. And maybe we could put it together with Dana Point and maybe even Mission Viejo, find a central point and make something like that. Go ahead, Shane.
Funny you say that. There actually is the South County Disaster Preparedness Expo happening on October 21st in Mission Viejo. So Sheriff Department will be there, Fire Authority will be there. There'll be all those educational booths.
Excellent.
Thousands of people come every year. So October 21st at, oh my gosh, what is the name of that park? I'll get you the name of the park in a minute here.
Super.
It's right at La Paz and Marguerite, but can't remember the name of it. Oh, great.
No,
Oh,
Mike, you're
Norman P. Murray. Norman P. Murray Park.
Great deal. And Chief, if I could ask, maybe see if Ryan can get a neighborhood watch booth out there for our.
I'll ask him, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Related, but did we have a national night out this year in August
We did, the sheriff's department did not.
in the park like they did previous years? Okay.
Okay.
Who's in charge of that for the city?
Who should
Possibly Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha, yeah.
Okay. All right. Just curious, because I'd never seen it handled that way, where National Night Out, everybody comes to one point. Every National Night Out I've ever heard of is people book locations with the city, addresses. Of course, you can only have so many of them, and then there's basically a train of fire, sheriff, and I guess in this case maybe Marines. They spend about 20 minutes each at each one of these locations, and people are having like a block party with food and all that stuff like that. The same resources, but rather everybody coming to the park. They kind of mobile around it. It's kind of fun actually. So.
And I cannot remember when is that usually?
It's usually the first Tuesday of August, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I've been involved in both. I've been as the resident with them kind of by the house, and then in 2 cities, been on the working side of it where we do the training to different parts, and I've never seen a more well received thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. The kids love it. The
Yeah,
kids go
but
crazy.
it was always a hit. Pet Park and Melbourne Park.
Because that almost works as what you're saying, like, because it's really hard to get people that probably need the information the most to go to that thing. I believe you said Murray Park, right? It's like the people that need that information the most, they're not going to go. So we got, like I said, guys like you, tip of the spear, you're going to be there.
Well, definitely good. Is there, how do we communicate with our citizens in San Clemente? Can we send out some kind of a blurb to everybody about the preparedness fair?
Could they put it on Facebook?
We could put something on the city's website
Great.
under our newsfeed.
And then I think I'll have my girlfriend put it on Nextdoor, because people do look at that a lot.
Yeah, can that be a push? I mean, I don't know how the social media stuff goes, but I mean, just putting it on the website again. Somebody's gonna have to know what they're looking for. We can push it out on fire and sheriff
Yeah, we can
and
push it on our
city's
social media as well.
media.
I'm sure Shane can do the same.
Yeah, it's definitely going out.
Bless you.
Yeah, sheriff and fire are both pretty active on social media, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They could get that out.
If you could all do that, that'd be great. The more people that know, or there are fewer people that we're going to have to rescue during an emergency. All right, homelessness committee, anything?
Nope, just the research. I guess I mean, it's my opinion that our biggest homelessness issue is there at the south end of town. I think there's a little bit of it throughout the city. North Beach is doing much better than it was a while back, and like I said, I have theories on how all of a sudden these people figured out that they can go to the sliver of town that's not actually part of the town and rejoice over there. So I think we're all heading in the right direction on that, and I'm glad to hear the city was kind of already working on that before it came across our desk.
Great. That was great research you did, Mike.
Can we get it on code enforcement's radar to look at the Los Molinos neighborhood a little more actively?
Could I, excuse me,
Yeah,
could I
Gary.
speak on that real quick? I don't want to interrupt, but protocol.
Gary,
Yes.
let us know. Come on up.
I know I'm pretty good friends with Cameron too, and I spoke to him a little bit. I'm Gary, and I have a business at Rincon Truck Center, right on Rincon.
I'm sorry, what?
Rincon Truck Center.
Oh, thank you.
And and I think it's more of a sheriff question, but we've had a motorhome down there for probably 6-8 months, parked on the street. He moves at night over to Los Molinos and back to Rincon. And then the other day, we come to work and we can smell sewage come out of the motorhome, like the gutter. So I call code enforcement. And, you know, your guy came out really good and said, checked it all out. And he says, I said, what's the sign there for? It says no parking between 2 and 5. He said, "Oh, we can't do anything about it, we're code enforcement. We talk to him about the sewage coming out, but we can't move the motorhome. It has to be the sheriff, so I understand." So my question, I guess, because I've heard this bouncing around now, because I called code enforcement twice, and we've called the sheriffs, and I think they ticketed one individual one time, but if it went down there at night, it'll be there at night. So I guess my question to the officers is, I guess from what I understand, the ordinance is you're not supposed to leave a motorhome on the street more than 5 hours. And if it's posted at night, code enforcement can't do anything except the sewage leakage. So does it fall on the sheriff's then?
Yeah, and our guys go down there and enforce. You just got to understand that we have one CSO on duty per shift, and obviously they're patrolling the entire city and handling.
And I understand that, and I think I'm looking at the bigger picture. This is my first time being in your meeting here, and I was sure the place bring it up. But I look at it, I've been down there for 40 years. And I can see this being a magnet, so if one sees they can do it, then somebody else is going to do it. And if you go on Los Molinos, it's 2 or 3, and I know you guys have moved them along, but they come right back again. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think of what's the solution to, do we need more officers? Do we need more people that can tow them away? What is the answer? Because I feel like, I'm just thinking out loud, but is this going to be, we're going to see them, I know I've seen them in the streets up here behind the commercial section. And what is an answer? Maybe you guys have a solution, or you have one car do it at night, or private security let you know they're there or something. Because, I mean, it just seems like we don't want a city with all these, they'll look like downtown LA pretty soon. So
Yeah, so the best thing we encourage people to do is to continue to call. I know it's time consuming,
Yeah.
continue to call. We do a proactive patrol, but it's important that citizens call. So we, like you said, they're moving from street to street. They're not always on the same street, so it's important to call when they show up so they can be marked and warned and cited appropriately.
Because the one dispatcher told my employee, well, you have to call at 2 o'clock at night when they're there. And I said, well, we're not going to be down at 2 o'clock at night calling. I just think it's, I don't know how many of these people, citizens see it. And I mean, I know you have a lot of more important things to do than move these guys along, but I think it's becoming more and more with the homeless situation in general. It's just another way of being homeless.
You're right.
And it's, we figure out something safety-wise, because the other thing that might, one quick thing and then I'll quit, is the OC, or the Orange County Transit buses park right there on Los Molinos when you turn off at Pico, right across from Hobie's right there. And there'll be 2 of them stacked behind each other. And that street is narrow. And I went through this with the city manager probably 10 years ago. But people step off there, especially homeless and kids and everything. That street is real narrow. And I suggested putting the buses up by the AT&T building behind the shopping center there, let them park there when they're waiting for bus, and leave that street open. Because when you make that turn, you got Robinsons, you got heavy trucks coming through there, and I just worry safety-wise of somebody getting run over. And if it could be avoided, with the buses parking around, they used to park on Pico, and then they made that right-hand turn lane and took it away. If they went around behind the shopping center there and headed towards Los Molinos, it'd be safer. So thank you for that.
And Captain Christian, to the point of the RVs dumping raw sewage, there's 4 or 5 enforcement agencies who would be interested in that.
Yeah,
all the way from Health Department to Flood Control Channel to the Coast Guard, because that's going to hit navigable water, right? And
it seemed like
that's what I was talking about earlier. There's a fair amount of meat on that bone to provide enforcement from several different angles. And not laying it on you guys to figure it out, but
but we can enforce for that, so we can code compliance. So.
Yeah, no, Anthony did go out, the code enforcement, and he did talk to the gentleman who was in the motorhome, sleeping in the motorhome, went in and talked to him. He says, yeah, you gotta fix that leak and this and that. But I think the bigger picture to me is the leak is not good, but this trend of having these start parking all around. And, I don't know what the answer is besides more code enforcement. It seems like you write a ticket, tow them away, and I don't know if they, where you tow them to, but they don't need to come back again. And I don't know.
Okay,
It's a conundrum. We can enforce the parking violations. When it comes to homelessness, we can't criminalize people for being homeless.
Yeah.
For the same reason we can't enforce camping on the streets, we're not enforcing camping in RVs. So, like I say, I encourage citizens to continue to call, as cumbersome as that may be sometimes, to let us know where they're at so we can enforce
But is a
parking
vehicle,
violations. And the city is currently working on the ordinance related to.
thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. Legislative review.
I have no updates on legislative review.
Neighborhood Watch, I know we've gotten some more block captain requests, and I know Ryan's working on it. I haven't got a chance to talk to him in the last week or so, but he's doing a great job.
I can provide you an update when we get down to reports.
Okay, great deal. And also on Neighborhood Watch, Carnival Colossus is coming up, and we would love to see a Neighborhood Watch booth out there. Because we're gonna have a whole lot of so many people that, coming through.
Did we have one at Fiesta?
No. And Ryan, if next year, I will man that with Ryan or whoever he appoints, because that was well attended. We could have met a lot of people.
Can we go back to 2 just real quick?
Sure.
Because I'm ignorant to this. Who would be able to, does Homeless Outreach, do they ever flex their hours to hit those spots on the streets, knock on doors, go, hey, you guys aren't technically supposed to be here, they're gonna start enforcement. I mean, I don't know, do they flex their hours in the middle of the night sometimes?
They make contact with all those individuals. Part of the problem that the sheriffs are facing, code does the water quality issues with the leaking, but I know the big problem is you can't tow an RV with somebody in it.
Correct.
No tow truck driver's gonna tow any of these with someone who's refusing to get out.
They used to.
Yeah, they don't anymore. I remember the days when it was a little different, but I know that Adam is working.
Can't hear you out there.
Adam is working on the RV ordinance and trying to get that more enforceable. So we're trying to look at different ways to attack it. But yes, our outreach workers go out and make contact with those individuals that are in those RVs.
In the middle of the night?
Not in the middle of the night, but they go.
Yeah.
They're there all the time.
That was kind of my point. Like, in the middle of the night, they're getting, because if they're only getting contacted in the middle of the night by sheriff's office, that's one mindset. But when Homeless Outreach is like, hey, now you're on our radar in the middle of the night, we know you're here. Yeah, they know we can't, but it's like, I think the big squeeze, right? And I don't even know if it's in their contract where they're allowed to flex their hours, so that might be a problem in itself.
Something like that. If anything, they would go they always partner up with the sheriffs.
Yeah.
And I don't think, just kind of per the MOU and some of, the issues that we wanna, as a regular, send them out in the middle of the night. I don't know if it would be more impactful or helpful. In my experience working with them, it wouldn't, because these people are refusing services across the board. They don't want anything.
Yeah, I agree with what Danielle's saying.
Okay.
They do a really good job at contacting these folks during the hours that they are working, along with Amber, our behavioral health liaison deputy. Got a great rapport with the people that are living on the streets, and they do their best at all hours during the day that they're working. And I see some of the communication come across my desk, and they're on it like that. So they know where to find them during the day most of the time, and they're hitting them every day.
Cool. I just, like I said, I feel for this gentleman. It seems like he got, the same RVs there for months, if not years at a time. It's kind of disheartening for them, but we get it. I mean, everybody is working hard. I appreciate it.
Scott, statistical?
Stat review, Chair Bercuda and I have information to review. We just haven't been able to line up our schedules this summer to get that review going, but we have the materials we need.
Right. And there is no update on human trafficking. And so down to e-bike traffic safety, we have exhibits. The last one. Item, no. There you go. And this is from Huntington Beach, and I think that's Elisa Diego from the United States.
It's all pretty consistent with the higher patrol presentation that we had. Chief, do you feel like it's been going down at all, reducing at all, the e-bike and the Surons and all that? I hope I'm not getting too happy, but I feel like I'm seeing less. Are people seeing more? Because I'm seeing less.
When it comes to the Surons, I definitely agree with you. I've seen less of them on the road. I think the word's gotten out. When we did our enforcement specific to Surons, when kids started getting their bikes towed and realized that there could be some sort of hiccup in getting their driver's license when it was time to turn 16 or 15 and a half to get your permit. So I have noticed a lot of Surons for sale on social media, which is great. And again, I will say these are the coolest machines. I'd love to have them. They're just not legal on the roadway, right? And that's our whole point, is take them to land where you can ride them, just not on our roadway. So I've seen less of them as well. I know they're still out there. My guys are still looking to enforce that. It's tricky, but we have our ways. When it comes to e-bikes in general, still see a lot of e-bikes out there. We're doing our best to enforce what we can when we can. Looking over some of this stuff here that you guys have today, these look like great plans that people are working on in other cities.
And how did you guys get the reduction, get the word out? Did you guys have like a presentation at the high school or something?
No, we just started doing some education enforcement on the street and making social media posts about it. It seemed to be very effective.
Yeah, all the kids tell each other, right?
Yeah, it spreads like wildfire.
Good, thank you very much.
Yes.
So do we want to adapt one of these for San Clemente? Does everybody have a chance to read through them?
I've had a chance to read through them. I don't know if I have a thorough enough understanding to send it to council with a recommendation as to how that would look like in our town.
Well, I think, and unfortunately I don't have our ordinances sitting next to it, right? Like I don't know necessarily that there'd be a reason to create a whole level of definitions or what have you, as opposed to subsections directly related to e-bikes and Surons. And I hate to keep blasting Suron because it's a name brand, but those basically electric motorcycles, because those aren't e-bikes, as we all know, right? So I think it would be better to make addendums to our municipal codes that relates to bicycles and modes of transportation, what have you. I mean, there's already, when the GoPed scooters came out 20 plus years ago, we had this whole thing. It's like, you need helmets. I mean, there's so much stuff that's already there. When we reinvent the wheel, it just kind of becomes monotonous, and we want to make it as simple as for enforcement for the deputies, what have you. You know, it's just it's a subsection of the law they've already been using, as opposed to it's a new law.
And Mark, it's also being addressed from the state level, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
the CHP's drafting training programs and laws and enforcement programs that would apply statewide. So do we need to amend a municipal code when there's a statewide vehicle code that's being developed here.
I would say no. I just, like I said, not having our municipal code next to
Right.
this right here, I wouldn't. I mean, there might be no need to add.
Chairman
us to it.
Greenwald,
Chief,
Chairman, well, you have a person here who could probably
well,
give us some information on what ordinances we have, because
I was gonna ask the chief if, our current ordinance right now, does it need any bolstering for you folks to enforce it?
No, I mean, we can enforce what's already in the California Vehicle Code, like Mark said. There are rules of the road that bikers need to follow, and it's basically the same as vehicles on the roadway. Stop signs, riding in the right-hand lane, except overtake a vehicle, set up for left turn lane, etc. And then obviously the helmet rule. Anybody under 18 needs to be wearing a helmet. There are some sections related to e-bikes specific when it comes to the class of bikes, but those are already out there as well.
Yeah, municipal code stuff in relationship to conveyances and bicycles like that is usually more like where you can do it, or like the beach things, stuff like that. There's a lot of law and legislation going on there. So I think our tactic should be, let's see how it pans out. We are a unique city. If there's something that, I doubt it, but if there's some weird loophole in the law, then I think maybe we can address it at that point.
Right, like addressing the beach trail specifically.
Correct.
Or some other unique feature to our town, we address that specifically, but otherwise we let the vehicle code do its job.
Yeah,
Right.
like no wheelies on Del Mar. That could be, if we decide we want to put that in there, then that could be something.
No wheelies, period.
Yeah.
Adam?
So just a little bit of background on this. This is a standing work plan project of the current year. However, the reason there was a couple of attachments on this item was because council directed the Public Safety Committee to review, or I should say evaluate and make recommendations to the council concerning e-bike safety. That's part of the work plan project anyways, but to help facilitate that discussion, we added some information that I know the council was aware of, one being the Carlsbad ordinance, which is the first attachment, and some recent work that the city of Huntington Beach had been doing on that topic as well. It's up to the committee what the recommendations are, but that's a specific council request to return to recommendations to them. What those recommendations are up to the discretion of the committee.
So can we get a copy of, our current ordinance emailed to all the committee members?
Absolutely.
And then we can all take these home, and at the next meeting we can parse them out and figure out what we want to add or subtract.
I do know that I don't know if all the schools, but I'm assuming all the schools, I know my daughter's school, my daughters go to different schools, but both of them, they've sent out messages about, you have to take the class, you have to take the test, and then I guess they're giving kids a sticker to put on their bike, and then when the kids are in class, school personnel are going through the bike racks and looking for bikes that don't have the stickers, and I guess they're impounding them, like, hey, you need to come to the office and get it, and it's a little, so I wish we could have a flyer from the city, from maybe from the sheriff's office or whatever. It's like, hey, this is why you got to follow the rules of the road. You didn't, basically what being a recalcitrant person will lead to, delaying getting your driver's license and what have you. I know a 9-year-old doesn't think about getting a driver's license, but sometimes it's a big flash of reality to the parents too.
Vice Chair Greenwald, if I just add, because there's something about the mechanics of this, is the council gets complaints from citizens about specific issues on e-bikes. Staff comes back with some information like that Huntington Beach has some municipal codes, Carlsbad has some municipal codes, and we look at them and go, yeah, this is kind of interesting, but we send it to the Public Safety Committee to look into those further and come back with a recommendation. If the recommendation you come back with is, oh, we recommend that, that we don't need these, well, as a council, we can still pass them if we want to, but we're throwing it to the subject matter experts. But I would advise against just coming in and saying, you know what, state will probably do something, we're just gonna, otherwise we'll stop sending. We're making a long process. When we send something specifically, look at these, and there is an exhibit there, we'd really appreciate if you at least look at those before, and come back and say, this makes sense, we might do this, or this doesn't. But just to kind of just let it roll on, I think the council is looking for something specifically to come back, no matter what that recommendation is.
We will review our current versus some of the stuff in here, and we'll agendize it for the next meeting, and we'll come back with a plan. Sounds good. Okay. Technology.
No update.
Any urgent matters?
Oh, for traffic, there was one, we said we wanted to reach out to the city about the lights.
So we did, and Zach had said that the city has no control over that light, that is Caltrans and multiple entities, and if you wanted to make a complaint, he suggested to do it in your capacity as a resident, that they kind of have a different system there, and they take the ones that come from the residents, or I guess those get prioritized higher than if like city staff or if somebody on a committee was to. And that was the recommendation, is to call. So we don't have any control or authority over that light.
Yes. However, in our last meeting, we asked to find out exactly who can control that light.
Caltrans.
Caltrans
Yes.
is the one.
Yes.
And can we get a representative or contact information for someone at Caltrans that we can voice that to?
We can provide contact information for Caltrans. I would be very hesitant to think that a representative from Caltrans would be able to show up at the next meeting. Typically, these kinds of requests are done through their service or maintenance requests, and so you can submit essentially a complaint through those services. It can take some time to get an actual person to talk to about a specific issue such as this, but we're more than happy to provide the information.
Yeah, if you would, I'd like to have them come in and talk to us and provide an email address or something so that we can all, as a citizen, send them a thing, have a friend send them a thing. They need to look at the timing of the light.
Yeah.
And it would behoove them to just come in and talk to us and not have to deal with a whole lot of email.
I don't disagree with you on that point. I just know that after years of working with them, they are definitely a state agency.
Yeah. And I believe everything you guys are saying. It just seems contrarian on their part that they're quicker to respond to a random citizen contact than as opposed to an official municipality reaching out and going, hey, this is a safety issue, and oh, that's cool, but we'd rather have people call us. I'm not saying I believe you guys when you say that's what they said. That's just an absurd, like you said, it's a state agency.
Yeah, we're more than happy to get that information together, provide it to the committee.
Thanks.
And then, as a city, we can do what we can to make those contacts as well.
I mean, if we had a hired patrolman able to take time out of his day to come talk to us, I would imagine that some administrative person at Caltrans could do it too.
Great. All right. Police services, Captain Christian.
All right, I promise you I'd have an update from Ryan on Neighborhood Watch. So the last month, they've had 7 new applications for block captains. He's averaging 40 to 50 attendees per meetings, which is outstanding. Residents Ryan does this thing where he offers home assessments, so he's had requests from residents to do home assessments to their location to try to harden their homes from burglaries and break-ins. Requests for RSVPs and vacation checks have reached numbers not seen in years, so that's fantastic. That is a service. Obviously, the RSVPs volunteer to go out to your house and check on it when you're on vacation. Just contact us and let us know your dates you're gone, and then they'll come out to your house and make sure everything's good to go. And Ryan said as the holiday season approaches, he'll be offering safety tips and theft prevention for shoppers on social media at future meetings. Sounds like he's had 3 Neighborhood Watch meetings since last month. And he also held a local business and real estate meeting on Business Watch. Last month we had a gracious donor, Alex Santos from Vonax Bikes, donated 2 e-bikes to police services as he was noticing our e-bike enforcement on the trails and the city streets. So he thought he'd offer his services to give us a couple e-bikes to help with our enforcement efforts. So that's fantastic. Currently we're trying to get these things outfitted and wrapped or painted so that they fit our needs.
Chief,
yes.
who was that?
Alex Santos from Vonax, right next door, the e-bike company.
Wow, that's great.
Very gracious of him.
Class 3.
Yeah. And last month we had a couple of tabletop exercises with OCFA. I don't know if Shane was going to talk about that. He probably will. They were hosted by Mr. Mall here. Did a fantastic job in those. Want me to speak about it?
Yeah, go.
Okay. It was a collaboration with members of our department, his department, as far as communication and collaboration on such events like wildfire. It was a specific example of a wildfire in the area that touched 3 different cities. So it was a collaborative effort on what fire is looking for from us and what we're looking for from fire and how to go about notifications and evacuations. Very well met. Shane did a great job at presenting the material and getting everybody together. Basically seeing how on paper what the ICS process would look like for everybody. So that was a fantastic learning event for everybody. As I mentioned earlier, we were in contact with San Diego County regarding the homeless encampment down south. We've got another event meeting on site there early October to see what else we can do down there. And we are still actively pushing for our security gate to get installed here at City Hall. Obviously, we had a vandalism a few months back where 6 of our units were vandalized, disabling half our fleet. And then recently this weekend, we had a suspicious subject out in the parking lot again amongst the vehicles. So notifications are being made. It's my understanding that that process is continuing. Our hope is that that thing gets installed quicker, sooner rather than later. Mr. Loeffler?
Well, that's the whole, I thought, didn't they move something that they needed to move to put the gate in?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, Lord.
I'm being promised that it's a work in progress. And that is about it for me.
Shane?
Okay, as mentioned earlier, we will have that disaster preparedness expo, so we'll definitely put that out. That goes out on social media and everything, but it's for all of South County. It's on October 21st at Norman P. Murray. Sheriff's Department will be there. Many agencies will be there with all of our disaster tools, as well as our hazmat rigs and a lot of different things for kids to come see, helicopters, so it'll be a really good event. A lot of education boost too, so that'll be good. We're working on standards of coverage. We're hiring an outside agency to come in and they do an audit of the entire county and, well, at least with the OCFA piece of it, and look at our standards of coverage, find any holes or gaps that we might have within the agency that maybe we didn't see, and they'll look at statistics and use that. So we're excited to get that so that we can start looking at increasing services in different areas, and maybe moving things around, trucks, engine companies, things like that. So that's a big thing that we're moving towards, which we're excited about. Let's see. we got a new, off Ortega, we just put in a helipod, which is essentially a fire hydrant for helicopters. It actually is a huge support for San Clemente because for a long time we've had no water supply for helicopters really off the Ortega, so a fire coming at the backside of San Clemente, the helicopters are having to get water from far away. So this is going to give them a quick turnaround to be able to get water on that fire and slow it down. So that was a really big thing for us to have that in service out there. We've worked on it for a couple of years, so that's a big thing for us. Again, Alert OC, I recommend all citizens go in there. It's really easy, just sign up for Alert OC, and it works phenomenally during any kind of disaster, even to the landslides and things like that. You'll get a notification just depending on where you live on what's going on, who you can call, where you can find information, and just real-time information for that. So Alert OC, I believe.org, and you can just go on there and sign up. Coming to the fire season, we'll see how it goes, but we do still have our Firehawks projected to arrive. We're hoping within the next couple months, but in reality, probably January. So that would be good. We'll go from our 2 current helicopters that drop 300 gallons to a total of 4 helicopters, and the 2 new ones, the Firehawks, being able to drop 1,000 gallons at a time. So it's going to hugely increase our ability to fight wildfires coming in these next few years. And just one thing, since being in the city of San Clemente, the old San Clemente Fire Chief Ron Coleman, I don't know how many of you guys maybe remember him or knew him. He passed away on the 19th of September, but he was a hugely influential fire chief here in San Clemente, as well as throughout the entire fire world. He came to San Clemente, built this city's fire department, which my dad was a part of at the time, from having 6 sworn firefighters and 20 volunteers to become a fire department that had 26 sworn firefighters and also 26 volunteers, which he turned into the reserve program. He started paramedic service here in San Clemente, which was a really big thing, and my dad was one of those too, so I love this city. Let's see, he went on to be selected by Governor Pete Wilson as a state fire marshal, which is a pretty big deal to go from a fire department of 3 stations to be the state fire marshal. And he was selected in 1999 as one of the top 20 most influential fire service leaders. Definitely had a really good career, really good life. Him and his wife still own a house here in San Clemente, so there'll be services coming in the next week or 2. Probably it's sounding like here in the city, so that information will come out as it comes. But just want to honor him today because he did a lot. That's it.
Thanks, Shane. Anybody have any questions? All right, Rod?
Well, since our last meeting on August 22nd, there has been no lives lost. There's been 104 swimmers in distress that were rescued by lifeguards, over 1,600 prevents, over 3,700 public education contacts, 66 medical aid incidents, and over 1,400 ordinances since our last meeting. So you can tell the lifeguards have been busy. We finished off the summer season with Labor Day weekend. We had the biggest surf probably of the summer. It was 4 to 7 feet for about 4 days. Just over 80 rescues. And since then, as you've visited the beach, you'll see less and less lifeguards patrolling the beaches or towers open. Right now, we don't have towers open during the week. We just have the pier tower that's open 7 days a week. But we're running about 6 lifeguards during the week each day, and then on weekends we're up to about 12, and having the main towers like 5, 1, 3, 4, and Linda Lane and North Beach open, along with the units patrolling there, which is a huge difference from falling off from summer when you have 31 lifeguards working a day. Attendance, we're almost at 2 million for the year so far. The water temperature has gone down as low in the last month since our last meeting from 60 as high as 74, so quite a bit of range right there. Marine safety recruitment for the full-time, working with HR, and hopeful that will be released soon. I was going to mention Trevor Launch, but Councilmember Loeffler mentioned the promotion of Trevor. It's a loss for us, but a gain for him having full-time work and a chance to start a new direction in his life. And super stoked for him, but also sad to lose such a great employee. And it's a benefit for Danielle and Adam. September 12th, the Exchange Club hosted our Lifeguard of the Year luncheon. The recipient was Maverick Moore. He's one of our supervisors. It was well attended by many community group, also a lot of the council members and city management. So it's great to see that support there. September 23rd, just past Saturday, is the California Coastal Cleanup at the pier. A lot of people going around picking up trash along the beach. The contractor, I know Nick Bercuda would be very interested in this. The dumpster behind headquarters that got burnt down on Memorial Weekend, it was cleared of the burnt debris about 2 weeks ago, and it looks like a contractor is back there working on rebuilding today. The contractor started replacing the roof on the pier tower on Monday and we'll finish up tomorrow. So that's something that's been needed for quite some time. By January or to February, we should see 3 new replacement towers, 3 to 4 new replacement towers on the beach. So we're excited about that. Pier Pride is having their Pier Pride jumps that they raffle off on October 7th. And then last week I had Leslia Meyerhoff, who works for Summit Environmental Group, who is the consultant for the beach replenishment project, give a overview of the project to our command staff. So since we're the face down there, that we know what how to alter our operations and understand what we can do to help them. So they're going to start staging, the contractor will start staging in October. They're working up north, and once they finish up north, they'll give a timeline. But my understanding is that they'll start in November. It'll be 46 days straight, and they'll work 12-hour days from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And starting at Linden Lane and moving south. That's the 250,000 cubic yards of sand that will be delivered from Oceanside. And then we have lifeguard tryouts coming up here on Sunday, October 15th. Encourage anyone that is interested. We are excited. We got a new step increase for the lifeguards, and next month they'll be going to hopefully the council members approve the lifeguard 2 position. So it'll be lifeguard 1, lifeguard 2. So it gives a chance for those to work up and have more responsibilities with more pay. So we're competitive now with the Orange County agencies with the part-time staff, which is a great thing. So October 15th, you need to be 16, not to try out, but you need to be 16 by June 15th of 2024. So our training will start for that at March 24th and 25th, and it'll go 5 consecutive weekends, ending in just the weekend before the last in March. So excited about that, and if depending upon how the tryouts go, I'm going to shoot for a second tryout in January, just so we have more than enough to go into training. So, but I encourage anyone that knows anybody that's interested in being a lifeguard, send them our way at our phone number 949-361-8219. And again, our business hours are 8 a.m. 7 days a week. We are now closing at 7 p.m. So that's it for emergency safety. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Chief, the promotions, are they by appointment, or do they go through a promotion process?
From a lifeguard 1, 2, and to a supervisor, you're talking about? That is done internally.
Okay.
Yeah, promotional.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, Mark, do you have anything?
I do not.
Scott?
I do. I want to thank all of our public safety partners for such great engagement and involvement in so many very cool traditions that we have here in the city. And I'll just rattle off a few. September 8th was Military and Public Safety Appreciation Night at the high school football game, and there was great involvement by all of our public safety partners and an awesome flyover by Sheriff's Department. The competitive side of me is already talking to Chief Mall about that being Firehawks next year. And the helicopter geek in me is already picturing something that looks kind of like Apocalypse Now. September 17th, you guys posted on your social media, you made a significant arrest down near the, Sheriff's Department posted on their social media, they made a significant arrest down near the Outlet Mall with drug paraphernalia, burglary tools, stolen merchandise, so awesome police work, so thank you for that. September 22nd, homecoming is such a cool tradition in this town of having a parade down Del Mar, and there's 6,000 or 7,000 people in that football stadium that night. And once again this year, great involvement by sheriff, fire, all of our partners, and just great community involvement. It's such a cool tradition, and I don't know anywhere else in California that gets a homecoming parade down the main street and downtown. So very cool. So thank you all very much. And then I had a bunch of notes about Fire Chief Coleman, that Chief Mall.
Sorry.
No, I think you had better notes, but I'm just going to make a motion when we get to adjournment to adjourn Fire Chief Coleman's memory.
Excellent idea.
Thank you.
Great.
I'm excited to be working on this committee, and it sounds like everybody's well involved and informed, so I like this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great deal. I want to welcome Gary, and we're really glad to have you. Trevor, congratulations. I'd like to thank the committee for all the work, and our public safety partners are absolutely the best. I would bring up that we're storing a whole lot of dirt. I think it's from Casa Romanica up at the old City Hall, and it is blowing dirt into some of the homeowners across the street. As soon as the wind shifts, the dirt comes down the hill. I don't know who I'm directing that to, but the other thing is we have a lot of aging people here in San Clemente, and I think probably a lot of them live alone, and I would like to find out if there's some way that we can find out who the older people who live alone are, and maybe hook them up with another person that is older, that they can just make a call once a day to say hi to them, make sure they're okay, make sure they're alive. I don't know if there's any way we can do that, but I think
I'll call you, Mike. I'll call you every day.
My bill collectors call me every day, Rick. You don't need to.
Rick, he said old. He wasn't talking about himself.
Hey, listen, I'm 77 years old. I'm old, okay?
Two things. As far as the stockpiling of dirt, I will have a discussion with Public Works to see what they can do about covering that stockpile. And then as far as that program that you just mentioned with our senior population, through the senior center, there are programs like that. I believe it's through Age Well, but they do have a program that folks can sign up for to have that kind of contact check-in. We'll get that information to the committee so that you can pass that out.
And I think that'd be another great thing to get on, like something like Nextdoor, because the people that aren't going out a lot do read that kind of stuff. So I just think it would be a great plan. Plus, it lets everybody know that somebody actually cares about it.
Yeah, and we do have a number of services for our senior citizens in town, from a mobility program to these types of programs. So there are a number of these programs available. I'll find the links to those. Those are more in line with kind of the Human Affairs Committee work. They deal with those types of community groups, but I'll get that information so that any questions come up to the committee members, you know where to direct people.
And Natalia and Danielle, thank you so much for everything. And the audience, wish we could get more people to get involved and come in, and to thank you all for being here. Scott, I will let you make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting in memory of Fire Chief Ronnie Coleman, who passed away September 19th, former Fire Chief of the city of San Clemente. And Chief Mall has already, I think, highlighted his career really well. So,
Second the motion.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
So adjourned.